Hey guys, welcome back to the Vantage Report. My name is AJ Hazy and I make these videos to help you make informed decisions about real estate. Now, we are halfway through the summer and things they are a-changing. If you watched my last video, I made some predictions and it's fair to say that some of those predictions are coming through. So what we're gonna do is take a deep dive into the stats and then I'm gonna share with you what it means to you if you're thinking about selling and what it means to you if you're thinking, boy AJ, do I buy now or do I wait for these interest rates to come down? So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with sales, we had our sales drop by about 30%. We went from doing 1,300 transactions over the last 2 months now to just under 1,000. So that's a pretty significant drop in sales. Now, to be fair, every year seasonally, we see a little drop off in the summer. So that's to be expected, but it's a little bit of a steeper decline than what we would have expected. And that again is because we've had this interest rate hike two actually in sequence. Now on to inventory. We're just shy of 2,700 active listings. This is the first time in a very long time we've had this much available inventory. Now at the same time last year, we were about 1,600 listings, and just 2 months ago, we were at just about 2,300 listings. So the trend is very much an increase in inventory. And if you recall from my last video, I thought there'd be people starting to make the decision to sell their home based on it becoming cost prohibitive to live there now. And we are starting to see that in some cases. We're also seeing the flip side. Some people don't want to sell because they've got a very low interest mortgage and they don't want to give that up. So that's also keeping inventory down at the same time. But for a lot of reasons, there are people who are putting their home on the market and we're seeing that increase. As a consequence, the absorption rate has ticked up to just over 6 months of inventory. And if you recall from previous videos, the balance point is 6 months. Beyond 6 months, we get into a buyer's market territory. Below 6 months, we're in that seller's market territory. So we're at the stage now where the inventory is very balanced, which means buyers nor sellers really have the upper hand when it comes to negotiating, but the direction is pointing towards buyers, which to be fair does give them a little bit more of a negotiating position because sellers realize that time is no longer on their side by waiting people out. Homes are still selling relatively quickly. In fact, the days on market ticked down somewhat from 50 days last time we spoke to 47 days. The discounting, roughly the same. The average transaction's got about a 3% discount attached to it, so that's been holding steady. The average transaction value is still around $850,000, so no big change there, but we are starting to see overall the benchmark price is down 1.5% over 2 months ago. So we're seeing the trend start to go the other way. And again, this is interest rate related because the affordability picture has changed rapidly for the average buyer. Now, when you zoom out for over 3 months, we're still up 1.6% over where we were 3 months ago. And if you zoom out to 6 months, we've actually seen 10% growth over a 6-month period. And if you zoom out a year, we're right back to where we started. So things came down. When interest rates paused, they started to run away quickly. We saw 3 months in a row of like 3% gains. We got about 10% back. And now we're on the other side of that because interest rates have ticked back up. So where we are right now is in a market that is heavily influenced by the interest rates. We still have good in-migration into Canada, but offsetting that, we're actually seeing what they call a brain drain. We're seeing lots of people moving away from Kelowna and from bigger centers because of the affordability. We're seeing people going to Calgary, we're seeing people going to Cochrane, we're seeing people go as far as New Brunswick now. Now, of course, we still have lots of people moving to the region, but there's an offset now, so we're not growing quite as fast as we once were. And we're feeling this in the rental market. Meeting with our property managers last week, I heard across the board that rents are coming down. We're seeing the average 2-bedroom rent is roughly $2,000, whereas this time last year, we were renting these same places for $2,300 and then some. So we are seeing downward pressure on rents and downward pressure on price. People having less disposable income, people just being able to afford less in terms of where they can live and what they can spend their money on when the cost of funds has really gone up so dramatically. With 5-year fixed money just shy of 7% now, whereas the same time a couple months ago, we were in the mid-5s to high 5s. So this has changed the lending environment considerably for people, especially when you have to qualify at an additional 2% over and above. To put it into context for you, if you make $200,000 with no other debt, now this is a very small group, the vast minority of the population. Let's say you bring home $200,000 with no additional debt, and you have a $200,000 down payment. You can afford an average townhouse in Kelowna of roughly $800,000 with a $600,000 mortgage. That's it. Which means unless you're already in the game and you've got significant equity from another property, you're either downsizing, moving laterally, it's very difficult to get into the market. And as we know, the market is like a food chain. As new first-time buyers come into the market, they unlock that move-up buyer. That move-up buyer who goes from the mid-level house to their luxury home unlocks that person. And so without those dominoes being able to fall in sequence, it does really jam up and create a logjam in the market, and we're seeing that. Now, in saying all that, I'm actually finding that the market is considerably more resilient than you would expect. So what does this all mean to you? If you're thinking about selling, just like I said in the last video, your window is now. This is the best time to sell your home anytime in the next 12 months. I'm almost certain of that, just based on the Bank of Canada and the central banking position on the interest rates and what they're trying to do with inflation. They're going to likely pause here and hold for a significant amount of time, which means the affordability picture is not going to get better for some time. So I highly recommend that if you're thinking about getting your home on the market, you don't delay, and let's get the home in tip-top shape, photograph it while it's looking good, and try to transact a sale in September or October, because that is really the sweet spot of the market, and then you don't face going into the winter. Now, if you're a buyer right now, I think you're in a good position, especially if you can get a mortgage right now and you're willing to wait out the storm. I think that the amount of discounting that you can get far exceeds the benefit of waiting. You see, if you're going to pay an extra $500 a month, let's say, on your interest, that over the course of 24 months is only going to add up to $12,000. Now, I believe that the discount you can get on real estate today versus waiting until interest rates come down and everybody else piles on again far exceeds the $12,000. Plus, if you jump in now, you do get to create some sweat equity. You do get the opportunity to pay down your mortgage over those 24 months. So you're light years ahead. So that's my take, guys. If you're thinking about selling your home and you want to know what your home is worth in today's market, you can start that process from right here on the site. And if you're interested in poking around to see what homes are available, you can start that process here as well. Thanks again for watching. Hope you found tremendous value. Again, we'll continue to be your eyes and ears on the market as things change. You'll be the first to know. So thanks very much. If you find value in this, smash the subscribe button, and we'll see you in a couple months.